Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I want to go over a quick trade that we made on Friday on ticker ALJJ. This was a pre-market trade, and I just want to do a quick recap on how we traded this and why we traded this. So I'll show you when I was alerted, what I did, my process, and why I ended up buying when I did, and where I took profit. So when we look at the stock, we can see that it gapped up in Friday's pre-market session. And we can see that this down here at the time, this was around 8:30 that I believe the news came out. But when we saw it first come on the scan, you can see we had it right here on the scans for 195 and 203. This was at 8:41. Both of these scans alerted us. So until this time, I wasn't real concerned with what this stock was doing because you can see that when it finally alerted us, it had 20,000 shares traded and 21,000 shares traded. So a lot of times these stocks may pop up and they'll be on very little or no volume. And those stocks I don't really pay attention to because for me, no volume, no trade. That's one of my main rules in day trading. So this one in particular did have the volume. As you can see here, from 841, 841, 841 to 843, we started to increase volume. Not extremely fast for the size float. We can see that it had a 13 million or 12, almost 12.5 million float. So for the price and the size of the float, we would like to see the increase in volume a lot faster than we did here. But we did get it overall. It did take its time to come into the stock, but eventually we did end up finding that opportunity. So what we can see here, and I'll take this off for now, is the stock right here. This is 841 right here. This candle that we see here, this is the candle we were alerted on. And as you can see, there wasn't a whole lot of volume. These ticks down here are the volume ticks, and you can see this is the market hour, so the volume increased by a lot. But during the pre-market, we can see that we had a little bit of volume here when the alert came in, but it wasn't until right here, 8:43, when we had a burst of volume. And the volume that we had here, let me see what we actually had on that move. I can see. Yep. So you can see the volume up here. So when we look at that one candle, we can see we had an 80,000 share burst of volume. So up here in the corner, when I scroll over that candle, you can see 80,000 shares were traded. And these are 1 minute candles. So that was a 1 minute time frame that 80,000 shares were traded. We can see before that we had 3,000 on the minute before. Before that we had almost 10,000 on the minute before when the news came out. So 10,000 on the news, 3,000 to follow, and then 80,000 after that. It was when the 80,000 shares came pouring into the stock is when I really took notice and started to mark things and look for levels. But with the increased size of volume and with the lack of other stocks to trade, it was a really boring pre-market. I knew that this one would have an opportunity. So what I started to do was I started to buy on the 9 EMA pullback, which I'll post or I'll put a link to the video above for the common strategies that I use when day trading. But with this one, I was aiming for a 9 EMA pullback, which is this purple line that you see here, and using this yellow line, the 20 EMA, as a stop loss. So I didn't end up waiting till this crossed the line. I ended up taking my profits on the way up, and I actually exited before this major candle where we finally reach our highs. And you can see the high was $2.33. So I actually exited more so on these candles here, on this green candle here, and this green candle here. And the reason for that is just I was happy with the position or the profits that I was in, so I was okay with the trade. So, but again, we're looking for a 9 EMA pullback after this increase in volume. So we had this spike in volume. We're going to look for a 9 EMA pullback, and we're going to look for support in this area. So I started taking starter size orders on this purple line or on this EMA. I added just once below just to kind of lower the cost. So you can see here on the purple line, we were right around $2.04. And the low, I believe the lowest we went to was $2.02. So right around that low $2, almost $2 mark is where I started adding. And I just added as we went up. On this first candle that when we broke here, we saw that we had support on the purple line or the 9 EMA. We then had a 1 minute candle break the highs of the previous 1 minute candle. So this is where I added fairly heavy. And this is where we started to see some volume. We could see the volume that came into the stock. We saw a little bit of seller volume, but then we started to see some buyer volume on this one here come back in. And we had a few sticks of volume here, which were not huge, but again, 50,000 shares there, another 50,000 shares there, and another 59,000 shares there. So we were getting some volume here, and it wasn't until over here is where we really get a nice burst of volume. And this right here is 164,000 shares, which is our, in the pre-market at this time, this was the largest volume stick that we had. So as you can see here, the volume sticks here, we had the initial volume stick that we were paying attention to. And then we started adding in here once we started seeing some buyers come in. And then this stick here, this is where I started to scale out pretty heavy because I was happy with profits. So, but you can see how buying this 9 EMA pullback here, using this 20 EMA or the yellow line as a stop loss, can make it so that this was a really great trade because it never crossed that yellow line again. It tested down here below that purple line or the 9 EMA, but it never did cross that 20 EMA. So it wasn't until here when it finally did. And if you were to hold it from there and you were buying right at that purple line, selling right as we crossed down there as your stop loss, you made a healthy 15 cents per share, almost 8% gain on your total profit. So that's a really nice trade to be in the pre-market, especially like I said, in a really slow pre-market, in a market that hasn't been really strong for any stocks for that matter. So this is a great example again of the 9 EMA pullback. When we saw this news, we did flip right over. I always flip over to Benzinga and double check, and of course we did have news to support. So you can see down here on February 4th, which is the previous trading day, we did have news at 8:31. A Form 8. So they filed a Form 8. And then we had a press release here. So we had Regional Holdings, ALJ Regional Holdings enter in definitive agreement on acquisition of Phoenix Color. So this is the catalyst that moved it up. Whether it's going to hold up or not is not the most important thing to me. What's important to me, what I was looking for, is this volume burst here. The price action that you can see here, we can see that there was buyers, sellers, there was movement. It wasn't just a stagnant stock, it wasn't just sitting still. So there was liquidity, which made it room for me to get in and out of my trade fairly fast. And we could see here it came back down, tested that purple EMA, the 9 EMA line, and it never crossed this 20 EMA. And that's where I started adding and have conviction that this trade could be, worth a scalp at the very least and possibly a strong trade. Now, whether it's going to hold its highs or not, that's not important to me because I can always sell and then re-enter my trade later. But what was important was that there was the volume, there was the price action, and there was news to support. Whether the news or not is the greatest news in the world or if it's the worst really doesn't matter. It really matters how the market perceives that news. And in this case, we have the volume and price action to follow suit with the PR. And that's a recipe for success when day trading, in my opinion. So again, this is just a quick recap and it's just a quick strategy of the 9 EMA pullback using the 20 EMA as a stop loss on a previous runner in the pre-market, ticker ALJJ. So guys, if you liked the video, make sure you thumbs up and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.